Brenton!
Hey Nathan, what's up?
Oh, I've done something terrible.
Oh no, what have you done now?
I've lost all of our podcast money.
Wait, all $10?
Yes, I gambled it all away, Brenton.
Oh no, Nathan, that means that we can't retire and we have to review another movie.
I know, I'm so sorry. I guess there's only one movie that we could possibly review that could get it all back.
And what's that?
Rocky 5!
Now dig on this.
Hey!
Whoa! $100 bills, 100 episode bills, what, 100?
Welcome to Classic Movie Banter.
We're here.
That show where me, that guy Brenton, and that other guy across the table, Nathan,
Woohoo!
we talk about films that are 20 years or older. 20 years, Nathan.
Yes.
20 years. And we tell you whether those films are still worth watching today, or whether they're worth crumbling up, putting them in a boxing glove, and putting your hand into that boxing glove and using it to punch your worst mortal enemy in the face.
Yeah, exactly. And Brenton, what a special episode it is today. It's our 100th episode. Ah!
Wow.
We did it.
Wow. We did do it.
Well
we did
done.
100 episodes. Nathan, congratulations, my friend.
Congratulations to you too. I don't know how we're still here, but we did it.
And a huge thank you. We'll go into this more at the end of the show, but a huge thank you, of course, to our wonderful listeners out there. Oh, you just keep us going. We appreciate it so much.
You keep the lights on and you keep our glasses full of monkey shoulder, which we've both got today, which I'm very excited about.
Oh, it's quite nice. It's a bit of a celebration today. So
it is.
What better way to celebrate than with the shoulder? You know what I mean?
We are going to get drunk. We're going to talk about Rocky. We're going to...
Well, that's the thing as well. We're here today to talk about Rocky 5. We're back again.
The franchise that will never die.
It's coming back in a big way for Rocky 5, which I'm pretty excited to talk
maybe
about,
we'll get into it.
We've watched this film together. We had a good old time. We ate some ham sandwiches. It was pretty good.
We had some great ham sandwiches. That was good.
Did.
Yeah.
We did. They were Christmas like those big hams.
The big hams. Yeah, we had some big hams. We had some big avocados. I passed Brenton the plate. He's like, oh, that's a big sandwich. I'm like, well, you're going to have to eat the whole thing. We did that scene from Matilda. I'm like, you can't watch the movie to eat the whole thing.
We did. We certainly did. And now we're here to talk about it. So, Nathan, if you guys didn't already know, we're talking about Rocky 5, which was released in 1990. It was directed by John G. Avildsen. And do you know what other films John directed, Nathan?
Was it Rocky 1?
He did direct Rocky 1. What a guess. Oh. Hey, 10 points to Gryffindor.
Hey.
And he also directed the Karate Kid films.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, which we have not spoken about
That's
on the
why
show.
Mr. Miyazaki rocks up in the film. Sylvester Stallone's practicing boxing and he just rocks up and he's swatting away flies with his chopsticks. He's like, all right, now that would be a good Rocky movie.
There's a total spin-off that must exist where those kind of two universes collide and Rocky's there and the Karate Kid's there with Mr. Miyazaki. It's poetry. It writes itself. You know what I mean?
You know what? There's a lot of Karate Kid in Rocky 5 now that I think about it. You know
definitely.
what I mean? The kid being trained and all that. So maybe they brought the director back because he saw Karate Kid and he's like, wait a minute, you could do that for Rocky. And then the director's like, but you're not Japanese. And Sylvester Stallone's like, well, make it happen.
And then that's why Sylvester Stallone doesn't have a career anymore. But Nathan...
Oh, no. Well, Brenton, maybe we should get into that by you starting to pitch this movie. Can you pitch me the movie?
Nathan, do you know Rocky Balboa?
I do, Brenton. I'm actually quite well versed in the first 4 films. We've had lots of adventures from sweaty gyms and character deaths to big high fives and maybe a sex robot. They've all happened in these movies.
Nathan, well, think of all those films and think about the general gist of those. We have a hero that is Rocky himself, and we focus on this character, and then he overcomes something throughout the film. Now, Nathan, Rocky 5 does not stray from the formula really at all. I mean, it strays a little bit because in this one, Rocky finally does hang up the gloves and he decides to, and due to some circumstances, he has to move back home. He has to move back to where it all began and he starts his own boxing gym. You know what I mean?
Finally.
By chance, he comes across a young lad who he sees a lot of himself in and he decides to start training him. And he spends a lot of time with this guy. And maybe it's to the detriment of his family and specifically his relationship with his son.
Oh,
So
is the
now
young
that-
guy he trains his son?
No, it's another
Oh.
young lad. So yeah, there's some drama there in the fact that maybe Rocky needs to find his family again, find his values, and move on, because now he's out of the ring and it's not about who he's fighting anymore, but maybe he's fighting himself.
Oh no! What a personal conflict, Brenton. Oh, what tension and drama. Oh, very good. All right. Well, sweet. Let's put in the DVD and let's watch Rocky 5 and let's talk about it.
Mate, what do you think?
Brenton, we're continuing this trend of Rocky films where I'm consistently surprised. And I'm very surprised by this movie. It's this thing where also you and I are now very biased towards this franchise. We watched this movie together and we were having a great time, having a good drink, dancing, we're throwing shapes. We're enjoying this movie. In saying that though, I remember not liking Rocky 4, but even this feels as much as a mixed bag as Rocky 4 does. Like there's some great stuff in here and there's not some great stuff in here. You know what I mean?
I would say this. In my opinion, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that statement, because I think that Rocky 4 is the biggest mixed bag we'll ever get in this franchise.
Probably. This is meant to be the low point, right? This is meant to be the worst of the 8 or 9, whatever there is.
Yeah, but I don't think it is. I don't know if it necessarily is, because and
They haven't made Creed 3 yet, so we'll see what happens then.
maybe it is, but my opinion on it is that it's not actually that bad, because when you look at the kind of formula to a Rocky film, I think the problem with this film is that it doesn't necessarily do anything that new or that exciting.
Oh, I disagree with that. I think it takes a lot of new directions with its characters.
It tries to go in different directions, but at the same time, it still has that same kind of formula. It still has that same feel to what makes a Rocky film. And I think people might have found it a bit stale, to be honest, and been like, oh fucking hell, here we go again. Whereas for me, watching it, I'm like, well, this is just a Rocky movie, is how I kind of see this.
It's just a Rocky movie.
And maybe that's the problem. But for me, I still had a good time with this. And there was no point in this film that I was really that bored, or I was that disengaged.
No, I wasn't bored, yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, going from a technical perspective, I think Sylvester Stallone is Rocky again. You know what I mean? He's still
You could say that, yeah.
he's still Rocky. This
feels like he's kind of catching it in, though. Like, he doesn't really go through... I mean, he goes through some arc in the movie, but, like, I don't know, he doesn't really get, like, a big monologue scene or these great, like, juicy scenes that you get in the other movies. Like, he's just kind of just doing the same shit.
I agree, and I think his relationship with Adrian is, like, perhaps my favorite storyline, I guess, from all these films. Adrian just feels a bit like she's still good in the scene she's in, and she's still good in the terms of like the performance she's
The one scene she's in.
Yeah, well, that's it. The performance she's giving for what she's given to do in this film. But there's a point that it's just like they're having the same argument over and over again.
Yeah.
That soundtrack kicks in again, and you're just like, oh gosh, like, I feel like I'm in Rocky 1 again, and that was
speaking of the
4 films ago.
soundtrack, this is out of the 5 movies, this has probably got the strongest soundtrack, which is saying something. Because I was loving this, because we're in the 90s, Brenton, brightly colored clothes they're in, we're all hip-hopping and dancing, and you know what, R&B music is in, and the movie is great, because they're back in Philadelphia, and they're back on the streets, and it's like, hey, Rocky, and then they'll have some, like, beatboxing kind of thing, and it's great. I love the music. I immediately want to find a playlist of all the songs that are in this movie.
Well, Nathan, that's excellent. Like, I'd say I probably agree. I think this film's got pretty good music. I just don't like the scenes when we get like the sad violins whenever there's like a serious moment.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit over that. Is what I'd say I'm getting over in terms of the soundtrack.
They don't Withering Heights it. They don't like play violins every 3rd second, so it's not that bad.
But I like what you said. I like that they try to keep it. They try to update it. They try to keep it new. And interesting. I also like, in terms of the story, I like that finally Rocky hangs up his gloves.
Yeah, which he's been trying to do since like the 3rd movie.
That's it. And he finally does it. And so like now we get to see this character taking on a new arc, and we see how that affects him.
Luke goes from original trilogy to sequel trilogy.
That's probably my favorite aspect of the film, but that aspect of the film also involves the performance of his son, who is actually, fun fact, the real the actor that plays Rocky's son in this film is actually Sylvester Stallone's real life son.
That's interesting, because I saw his name in the credits. I'm like, oh, right. So, because there's obviously that father dynamic, that father-son storyline that's in the movie. So, because he's the real life son of Rocky, do you think that helped the performance?
No, I was about to say that I think that part of the story, which I was interested in the fact that like Rocky's putting all of his energy, maybe to deal with the fact that he's not actually fighting anymore, into this new kind of protege that isn't his blood, that isn't his family, and he leaves his real family. He's kind of pushing his son to the side a little bit. That's an interesting idea. But we never see the full effect of it, because like I never bought the son's performance.
No, which is so weird considering it's a real life son of Sylvester Stallone, and it's
That's
like
it.
also I don't know why they did this, because in most movies I feel like it doesn't help it. Like if like look at like Will Smith and like Jaden Smith, like you know what I mean? Like you don't need that real life. It's good for marketing, I guess. It's like, wow, see the real life thing of like these two famous people. But at the end of the day, they're still playing characters, so you're not actually really seeing a father-son dynamic that they're doing in real life.
That's it, and I think that son character is like the most inconsistent character in this film.
Jeez, yeah,
it's all
and
over
it's a
the
child
place.
performance. So like, what do you think of the child performance in it, Brenton?
Oh, it's not good. It's not good at all.
Brenton like lowers his scotch, like no, it's no.
No, it's not good at all. There's some. We're gonna get into it in spoilers, but there's some weird fucking scenes between those two.
There is, and you know what? It's so this movie's all over the place. Like even with Rocky 4, despite the fact I said no to it, at least it had a very clear through line. But there's like three in this one. There's like three different storylines, all kind of like vying for your attention throughout the movie, and they don't gel as well as I think the movie wants it to.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like you got like the storyline with Rocky, like, you know, mentoring this moronic motherfucker just like coming into his life. Then you got his son being like, you know, essentially like the Bart Simpson of his school. And then you've also got a storyline where like Adrian's and Paulie are like going through shit, and they're like, Rocky, you gotta support your family. And then like she's like, I don't know, and like it doesn't blend together to make a thesis statement like with this character. And like my thing I dislike most about it is that Rocky 3 dealt with a lot of these themes, because you got Rocky, he has it all stripped away. It's like, what do you do when you go back to nothing? And kind of Rocky 3 dealt with all that. So this film feels so derivative for trying to say those things again, but through these convoluted storylines.
Going back to the performances as well, like that just kind of reminded me of things that don't gel. The villain, I guess, of this film, or the antagonist, is just very hammy and like isn't really grounded in a sense. And I was trying to understand the point of this character a lot of the film. I was trying to figure out what the fuck was actually going on. And again, it's just one of those things that just doesn't gel, and you just realize that it's just there for the sake of being there.
It's so weird because like everything on paper for this movie sounds good. Like if you gave me like the synopsis of everything that happens in this movie, this sounds genuinely interesting. And with the antagonist, he's meant to represent the industry, you know, and everything that's wrong with, you know, the boxing industry. And that sounds really interesting. And, you know, and how like you can get because Rocky was very blessed in the first film to have the right mentor and put in the right direction. And you see this protege that he finds, or rather finds him, like he's beginning to learn the wrong lessons about the boxing industry. And I was genuinely interested at the start of this movie, but it goes in such weird directions, and it doesn't really say that much about the industry. And even when it does, it's the most cliche lesson. I learned more about boxing from Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire than I did in this movie.
Thanks, Nathan. I totally
agree. And that's
agree.
a wrestling scene, and yet I saw more about the industry.
When that cage fight, you know, it can't ever be, you know, replicated. It's just so special. You know, what a special place in cinematic history that holds in both our hearts.
What does that wrestler say to Tobey Maguire? He's like, "Come down, Twinkle Toes," or whatever it is.
He's like, "Hey, you're going nowhere. I got 3 minutes. 3 minutes of playtime."
Okay, could you imagine if the plot for Rocky 5 was him being brought back into the ring to fight Tobey Maguire in that Spidey costume?
Hey man, it'd be a G time is all I'm saying. But technically, when you look at Rocky 5 as well, you look at kind of like the cinematography, what the work the DOP has done on this film, and in comparison to let's say the first film, when we're in Philly, and like I think one of the things that we both agreed in the first film is that it really captured the location, it really captured the place.
Yeah, it was a great timestamp on a city back in the 70s.
In this film, the editing and the shots chosen are just so kind of boring. There's nothing in this that like makes you feel like you're in the streets of Philly. There's nothing that makes you feel like you're in this place, or even like because there are fight scenes obviously in this film, and there's boxing in this film. There's nothing that's interesting, or there's nothing that's done well in terms of the fight scenes, and the camera is just always very bland, is what I'd say in this. And so so even like there's opportunities, I think, to really capture moments and use, you know, light and color and obviously the framing to do some beautiful work. And it's just kind of wasted. It's just kind of like you said, like you said that Sylvester Stallone is kind of maybe phoning it in. For me, I think the director and the DOP might be voting in a bit on this. Like,
and it's so weird because he brought back the original director. Like, you think this would be such a great opportunity to see Philadelphia, like, what, 15 years or whatever it was later on, and see how has the city changed, like...
I think it tries to a certain degree. Like, it's like, that was, again, that idea was in the script. How it's executed, there's literally a scene where characters are just walking down a street, and I think there's old shops that are closed or whatever. And there's even references to other places from the first film where maybe some characters used to work and whatnot. And it's just kind of like out of focus in the background. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's shit like that. And they're talking about this location as though it's an important factor to their relationship, these characters' relationship. And you're just like, oh, like, well, they're talking about that, and yet it's out of focus in the background, and we're not going to focus on that.
Because you see Rocky kind of get around it. He's like, hey, I recognize that corner, and hey, this guy shouted my name, I'm Rocky. But, like, it doesn't really go much beyond that. And there's so much this film could say about the relationship to home and being forced to return home. And, and that's
it.
And it could say something about class because, they're going back to where they were. And there could be this great juxtaposition of the life they had in Rocky 4 versus Rocky 5. But there's all this potential there, and the film never goes for it. And poor Adrian, I feel like, is trying the hardest at it. Like,
I agree.
Because you really see her busting her butt in the way she hasn't had to before to support the family. And she's seeing everything that's going on. She's like an audience member in the film going, like, dude, there's like 3 things that are fucked up at the moment you need to address. And Rocky's just kind of like, hey, let's go to a church and just say g'day. It's like
my issue with Adrian as well in this film is that I feel like the actor's really trying to like make these scenes work.
Yeah, bless. Like, oh,
and which is very that's great, and like I respect her for that. But at the same time, there's nothing worse for me than watching an actor like really try. Like, you see their work on screen of them trying to make something work, and I don't envy the position she's obviously in this film. Like, it would have been, it seems like it was a hard slog just by watching it.
And every Rocky film as well has this great scene between Rocky and Adrian. There's normally a, hey, get your shit together kind of scene with the two of them, and this movie for the first time doesn't deliver on that, and there's no real great kind of juice to it, and I was so upset by it because, like, it's just, there's so much you could do with this, and it's just
exactly.
And here's another thing we haven't mentioned about the movie. It's essentially the Avengers Endgame of the Rocky movies, in the sense that, like, we're going back to where it started and we're getting a highlight reel of the whole Rocky franchise, and we're like having lots of callbacks and that kind of stuff. But it feels so unearned because it feels like not that much has been gained.
And I think I can pinpoint why, because I think there's a plot reason at the start that they make that it's just such a contrivance that, like, instantly it just kind of throws you out because you're like, oh, well, that was random, I guess, but now we're here.
But the premise for this movie as well is so stupid as well. Like, in the sense that, like, the reason they have to go back is just like, you could so tell the screenwriters were like, we wanted to go to Philadelphia, here's a shit little reason, and it's like, and they don't even explore the repercussions of that. It's like, it's just a waste of potential. Like, there's stuff I like in here, but it's just not enough to give it substance, especially with Rocky's protege. I hated him the whole movie.
Really, I thought that was, again, I think the word to describe this film as potential. Like, for instance, with that protege, I kind of liked the idea of that. I didn't even mind the actor. I thought it was fine.
He looks as though he was ripped from like a Mighty Ducks movie. I'm like, what are you doing here?
That is true, but at the end of the day, like, I just feel like, again, it's all about execution, and for me, like, there was nothing interesting that was done with that idea. There was nothing, you never really saw, and I think the issue is that the film's called Rocky 5, and you never really saw, like, how that affected Rocky. You know what I mean? Like, how his mistakes, let's say, or how his choices really have repercussions on things. Like, there's obvious repercussions that are just kind of presented to us in regards to his son and how his son behaves. But it's kind of laughable at the same time, so it doesn't really, like, it again, it's not earned. Look, the word of this film, if you're going to describe it, is it has lots of potential, but potential doesn't make it a great movie.
No, it doesn't.
You're fond of me lobster, ain't you?
To be honest, Nathan, coming into this, I was like, yeah, it's just another Rocky movie. It's, it's fine. It's not like a horrendous atrocity. Like, it's fine, which I'd still stand by. But at the same time, I was thinking of, like, giving this a thumbs up just to be like, oh yeah, it's your usual fodder. But now, I think having this discussion, I think I'm gonna have to give this a thumbs down.
Yeah, and Brenton, I think I'm with you because, like, I just can't see what listeners would get out of this. Even you and me who love this franchise, like, it doesn't... And the worst thing as well, I think the worst thing about it is that in hindsight, we know it's not the final installment. But this movie treats it as though it is. Like, it really gives this, like, this is the last Rocky film, these are how these characters end, and boom, and it kind of wraps it up. But we know we still got, like, at least a time of speaking, we got 3 more movies to go.
And so, to be honest, if you were watching this sequentially... Like, and you're going to Rocky 6 or Rocky Balboa or whatever the fuck it's called. I think you could go from Rocky 4 to that film without watching this.
I agree. I mean, we know nothing about Rocky 6. And we know it was made in '06. So we know we're going to be 16 years later. So obviously shit's going to happen in between.
But I just don't think it's like really, there's one plot point at the start that is the reason they go back to Philly. That's important. But apart from that, nothing really I could see have like deep set ramifications for the series going forward. Like, that's it. And that plot point is not even given its due, so you could see how it really affects these people, like, in that sense.
Yeah.
So you could literally just go from Rocky 4 and then read the sentence of, oh, this is the reason that this happened, and then go, okay, cool, and then go to Rocky 6.
There's nothing that impactful that happens on the whole franchise, especially the way the movie ends as well. Like, there's nothing that really, like you'd be like, oh, this happened to Rocky 5, we need to know about. Not really. So, like, yeah, my thumbs are down, Bren.
Thumbs are down too.
All right.
Well, Nathan, shall we spoil this film?
Yeah, let's spoil it. You spoiled it.
What?
The movie.
Oh.
All right, so we have a lot to say about this plot. Like, I've got so many gripes with this, Brenton. But, like, they go back to Philly and all that because Paulie fucks up. And it's just like, and I'm so sick of Paulie by this point. I know he's Adrian's brother, but he's just such a fucking idiot. Like, and I'm like, why are you keeping him around? Like, put him in a home. He's worthy of it. Like, just get rid of him. And like, and he's evidently going through alcoholism, which the film never really like gives its due as well.
But like, also like, Paulie messed up again. Oh, all of our money's gone. We're going back to Philly. That's in the space of like a couple minutes, and you're just like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
and
again, and I'm sitting there, I'm going like, why the fuck would you give legal authority to Paulie? Why would his signature be worth anything when it comes to your estate?
Like, honestly, like listening to this, it's not even worth questioning because this film spends like 2 minutes on it, and it's the most important plot point really in the whole film. Out of everything that happens, that has the biggest ramifications, and we don't even explore it. So it's like,
we don't. And you and I, Brenton, we started off in such good steads with this movie. They tugged us by our hearts in the opening scene because the scene opens with Rocky wearing his iconic jacket, and I was like, the Rocky 4 jacket is back, and it opened with, because it starts immediately after Rocky 4, and you and I were like, great, the jacket is back, and we screamed.
Mate, I wish when I'd been watching this, I wish I'd been wearing my jacket that is similar to the Rocky jacket. You know what I mean? Gosh, seeing that thing again, it's really just a thing of beauty. That jacket is special.
It's so good. It looks so good. And he should have worn it the rest of the movie, but he goes back to his like Rocky 1 costume, which I completely understand why. But like, I'm like, oh, do you reckon he sold the jacket when the house got evicted? Do you reckon he had to get rid of it?
No. Oh, please no. Please no, Rocky. Rocky, that jacket is way better than that shit that you had in the fucking attic that you wore in the first film. But speaking of which, the fact that he's like, hey, it's time to become old Rocky again, and he puts on his jacket and the hat, I just thought was the funniest, stupidest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
You can so see it was for an audience, like they're cheering in the cinema going like, woo. You can so see it was built for that.
Mate, I wasn't wooing at all.
No.
The moment we wooed was seeing Rocky 4 jacket, which is just so
okay,
fucking
what if they do a
awesome.
Star Wars thing where like the plot of Rocky 6 is getting Rocky's jacket, like Luke's lightsaber, back to him? So like his son, like this young girl, like in like the distant place of America, like finds the jacket. She's got to go across the country to deliver the jacket back. And Rocky 6 ends with her handing the jacket back to Rocky. And then the 7th movie opens with him throwing the jacket off a cliff.
Yeah, and he's like, it's time for boxing to end.
She's like, no, that'd be amazing if just like, it's Creed's son. It's like Michael B. Jordan just being like, you gotta come back, and he's like, oh, and then like he comes back as a Force ghost. He's like, this is not how you treat a jacket. Oh, they just do the whole sequel trilogy. It'd be great.
Nathan, I don't know if it'd be great, but it'd be an entertaining watch. Nathan, we mentioned before that there's some weird fucking scenes, father and son scenes in this film that feature Rocky and his son.
What is this child?
Perhaps the strangest of all is when he's basically their opening scene together to establish their relationship. Rocky goes to his desk and picks up a picture that this kid's drawn of this woman with like these huge, huge breasts.
They're like
naked breasts.
Jeez.
And
you could hold down a hot air balloon with them. Like, it's insane.
And the kid looks at his dad like, like it's kind of creepy. Like, it's a bit weird.
You're so beautiful, Lisa.
If for some reason, Nathan, you were drawn like some cartoonish figure with huge boobs and your dad walked into your room and said, what's this? Like, how would you react? Would it be with like a sly smile and like a little like,
Jesus,
you know what I mean?
No. I would be like,
fucking
Dad,
hell.
I have a very messed up relationship with pornography. Please help. Like,
Yeah.
But Rocky, he's got the even worse reaction because like, hey, there's some good tits, huh? Like, he's just giggling it off. Like, what are you doing?
He's like, don't tell your mother about this, but this is some good shit, boy.
Christ,
Like,
I would
it's
love.
just
Okay,
like-
could you imagine Adrian just walks in the room and she's just like, what the fuck? She's like, what is going on? And then Paulie walks in, like the whole fam comes in and he's like drinking and
But
Paulie's
I
like,
think he was
"Hey."
trying to establish that they have a cool relationship, but like that just made me fucking like dislike them both. Like I was just like, what the fuck is going on here? Holy shit!
Jeez, it's just, like, why would you let that happen? And it's like, and you could tell, and that's like in a nutshell what the son is. You know what I mean? He's just drawing tits the whole movie, metaphorically. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just can't handle it.
Well, let's continue this tangent on the son and let's get to his earring.
Oh my God.
The whole thing of this son is that he needs to adapt to this new world. He's like this private school kid. He's come from this super privilege. He
He had a sex
super rich.
robot growing up, you know.
You know what I mean? Like, and so now he's like in the streets, and he can't really handle it at first. He gets bashed up, and he gets like he gets mugged all the time from these other little kids that aren't threatening at all in his class. And then suddenly one day he starts learning from his dad how to like fight by watching Rocky and the protege or whatever. And so he starts learning a few moves, and so he goes to school and he bashes the shit out of these bullies, and they're like, we respect you now, and they become his friends, and it's all weird, and they become like this little gang.
I love that the boys become the friends.
Like he has this little gang of like the bullies, Rocky's son, and like his girl, and they're all like, hey, we're so fucking cool. They're like smoking cigarettes and shit. And he gets this earring that is literally like the least cool thing I've ever seen in my life. And it's also hilarious.
It just looks like a booger. It looks like a dangling booger off his ear.
It looks like in the scene in what's that film with Ben Stiller with Cameron Diaz when
There's something about Mary.
there's something about Mary, and then she takes it off and she thinks it's hair gel or whatever or some shit. She puts it in her hair.
It's literally that. Rocky's like, I like your earring, son. He picks up the earring, puts it in his hair.
No, it's that the comes dribbling off his ear, and that's what the earring looks like.
Jesus. And it's horrendous. And it's just like, also like he doesn't really make a thing of it. Like no one really addresses the fact they've got these horrendous earrings in. And even Adrian is like kind of okay with it. It's like, you parent. Like, discipline your child. It's like they're smoking. You know they're wearing this shitty earring. You know what? I don't have an issue with the fact he's wearing earrings. Wear an earring. Do what you want. But just choose a better earring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the earring's just hilarious. Like, it's so bad. Anyway, and then for some reason, like after they kind of reconcile, the earring I think goes away. And it's like, and I think they make a good joke of it at the end when he has like his little boxing cufflinks that Mickey gave him, and he gives them to his son, and he hangs them like up by his ear, and he's like, oh, this would be a good earring. Like I was like, lol, that's hilarious, Rocky. Like, but then I thought maybe the kid does make it into an earring.
Jeez. Yeah, exactly. The end of the film was just him like, look, Dad, I've made more earrings, and the Rocky's like, what are you doing, son? Like, like. You could have done something interesting with that. At the start, I was genuinely interested in what the son was doing at school, because you're kind of seeing like him like having to make a name for himself. But it makes me question, why the fuck was the character Tommy introduced as the protege when it just so clearly could have been his son? I would have been way more interested in seeing Rocky teach his son how to fight, and then his son learning, oh wait, you can't just fight in the streets. You got to use like, you know, your fists for good and all that kind of shit.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I've got so many issues with Tommy. The fact that he has the audacity to approach like Rocky in the street and just like you know, I keep on bullying him until Rocky finally agrees to train. And it's like, I just hated him the whole movie. He's just so arrogant, and he's obviously so susceptible to like to the villain mentor thing. It's just like,
yeah,
you can so see where he's going in a heartbeat. There's no tension, there's no revelation about this character. You know exactly what you're getting from the start.
No, totally. But again, Tommy's just like there for a plot point, basically a few plot points. He's not really a character in this film, and like so like
he gets some moments. There is that scene at dinner where like they're all like having a nice family dinner. It's like, hey Tommy, this is the family, and he goes on this like really awkward monologue about like the domestic violence in his family, and he's like, every time I see my father, every time I punch my fists, I'm reminded of my father, and every punch is to knock out my father. And it's really fucking dark. And then like he tells a story, and then Rocky's like, oh yeah, and they all kind of like shrug it off, and he's like, I guess this means I should continue teaching you, when clearly this man is like traumatized by violence.
Totally. And then it just doesn't go anywhere. Like the storyline doesn't.
You could have done so much with that. What are you doing? Could you imagine having a family dinner and like, okay, say you, Brenton, came into my family and you're just like, you know what? I want to learn how to fucking paint. And I'm like, okay, I'm a good painter, Brenton. I'm going to teach you how to paint. We all have bloody dinner. We're passing bread. And you're like, oh, every time I hold a paintbrush, it reminds me of the time my father used to stick it up my ass. And you're telling this like long story. And then at the end of it, and you're like, now every time I paint, it reminds me of anal. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to teach you how to paint. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not what should be said.
Nathan, that was perhaps one of the best rants you've ever gone on in the history of classic movie banter, and you saved it to our 100th episode, so thank you for that.
It's because this film is so fucking stupid. Why does when Paulie watch a fucking fight, does he have a flask in his binoculars? I mean, do I want them? Yes. But again, why?
Paulie and his flask is the funniest thing. There's literally a pair of binoculars that he unscrews the lens off the top and then just takes a swig at a point in the film. And it's never addressed. It's just kind of, it's like a little gag that like maybe the director didn't even know it was happening and the actor did it as a joke. And then he was like, oh wait, no one noticed. And then now it's in the film. Fuck.
Yeah, do you reckon it was just the actor just drinking on set? Like,
it's so random, dude. It's so random.
It's so random. Do you like that Adrian goes back to the pet store, that she's busting her butt?
That was the thing I was referring to, is that like there could have been a moment there where like we see the pet store, but it's like a blurred image in the background that they kind of refer to. They're like, they gesture to it and you're like, oh, I guess that's the pet store. You know what I mean? And
so
again, you never see...
It would have been great seeing all of it. What happened to Rocky's turtles? We never knew.
Yeah, like you never see the ramifications of it though. Again, like it's like Adrian, I don't want to be in the pet store again, and she's all like, "Oh, Rocky, I don't care. Like it's all good." And then you're like, "Is it though?
Yeah,
you know? Is it?"
And also, like, why is she? Because I don't know why she's in the pet store as much as she is, because when Rocky goes back to his gym and he starts his own business, it seems to be going quite well. Like, it's packed, there's full of customers in there, he's mentoring a lot of people, so it seems like he's going okay as a mentor. Like, he's building his money back up.
Yeah, look, we don't ever see the pet store again, to be fair.
No, we don't. What if we walk in and the store's literally empty? It's been like empty for years and Adrian just says she's working there. Like like Rocky like goes to visit one day with like a bouquet of flowers and he opens the door and she's just like sitting on the floor. There's no furniture. She's just reading a magazine and he's like, Adrian? And she's like, oh shit. And she's like scurrying around. You're like, she's like, I just wanted time away from the family. And he's like, what are you doing?
Nathan, what did you think of the climax of this film?
I like it. I like that we're finally not in the boxing ring. I thought that was really smart.
Tommy fucks off. He gets seduced by like the industry or whatever, and by this big agent or whatever. And then like he realizes he becomes the champion, and then like no one gives a shit because they're all like, "Hey, you fucked over Rocky. Hey, we love Rocky." And he's like, "Oh well, I'm gonna go beat the shit out of Rocky now." And then so he goes and challenges him and they have a street fight. And then it goes back and forth for some reason and Rocky gets attacked from behind at a point. But Rocky still prevails and somehow fucking wins.
It's a good fight. But I like that they're like smashing into things and like the general public's around them and like there's live cameras and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I thought it was probably the weakest choreographic wise. Like,
yeah, I agree. Like, and how it was shot again, like it's just a mess in terms of like structurally, in terms of how this scene is shot. It's just a lot of bodies in space, and then like Rocky and Tommy are just kind of being thrown at each other, and like there's a few like people falling over shit in the street as well. And then we have that famous line from Rocky's son when he says, "Knock him out! He took my room."
Which is great, because like the son finally reconciles with his dad, and it's wonderful. And it's just, and you know what? It's a good, if you see the kid's bedroom, you understand like the weight of that line, because his bed's got like this huge aquarium above it, and it's a nice bedroom. But also, if the bedroom's designed for the son, does that mean Tommy's too big for the bed? Like this whole time he's had to like awkwardly like squeeze onto him and like, ugh. Like.
He's like in the fetal position on this bed, just like.
Which means he'd be in very bad shape for the fight because he hasn't stretched his muscles properly. That's probably why he loses.
Yeah.
And it's great as well because the fight ends with like Rocky also punching the evil mentor. And he's like, you can't touch me, son. I'll sue you for assault. And then Rocky's like, I don't care, right? And he just punches him anyway. And everyone's like, woo! It's like, if you remember the general public and you have no idea what's been going on this whole movie, you've just seen a street fight with Rocky and you kind of know his protege, and then you see Rocky randomly beat up this bloke, I don't think you'd be cheering. You know what I mean? You'd be like, that's assault. And also the cameras have it. What if Rocky 6 turns into like a court drama about like the guy just suing Rocky for like punching him in that fight?
I mean, I could get amongst it. Why not? Let's have
This is a completely different movie. But you know what's interesting? In the original script for that fight, Rocky was meant to be killed in the final fight with Tommy.
Oh, that would have been lame. I'm glad they didn't do that.
And he was meant to like die in Adrian's arms. And you know what? during all the filming, this was still the outcome. And what happened is that right near the end of production, Sylvester rewrote the ending and decided to leave it alive because he thought the movie was meant to be about perseverance and redemption. So he's like, you know what, having died doesn't suit this message. But you know what really surprised me on that note is that no one died in this movie. Every Rocky movie, except for I think the first one, we've gotten like a major character death.
Yeah.
But in this one, I was crossing my fingers Paulie was gonna die. I'm like, kill off Paulie. Like, let him die a stupid death. Like,
If they killed off Paulie, would anyone have really cared?
I know, that's the thing. It wouldn't have given it that much weight. Like, Adrian would have shed maybe a tear. And you know what I would have loved? They should have taken his corpse to like the zoo from Rocky 3 and just like thrown it into the tiger pen and just been like, there you go. Now he'll be in the eye of the tiger. And you see this like fucking cat like ravage through it, like,
Now, Nathan, there's training montages in this film, but we never get the famous training montage.
No! It's the film's one job, and it even fucked that up. It's like, we get this weird kind of like highlights reel of the previous 5 movies, Endgame style.
Yeah, we do.
And it's like, you see Creed for a little bit, you see Mr. T. You don't see Dolph Lundgren, but like, I didn't really feel anything, and it's funny because you and me who have been big fans of this franchise, we should have felt something in that moment.
Exactly, yeah, and we were just kind of like, this is happening.
Yeah.
You know?
It was just like, I don't know what they could have done. But to be honest with you, like on paper, this all sounds good. It's just, I think the dialogue need to be better written, and it probably needs to have more nuance and maybe less clutter. Like,
well, maybe they should have more scenes of where the son's revealed to be drawing boobs. Maybe that would have fixed it.
The son's like sketching as the fight's going on. He's like some street artist. He's like, ooh, it's like,
ooh, e.
ooh, pose. And he's like just drawing tits in every character. It's just, I feel like the son drawing in this movie is like the sex robot of this movie. You know what I mean? It's just this thing that just doesn't need to be there. And just also continuity-wise, this doesn't line up as well. Because apparently this film's meant to start immediately after Rocky 4. But the son's aged up from like the shitty child actor who's like, Dad, read me a bedtime story, from that to like a 14-year-old in the span of like overnight. So
yeah, I mean, like, he just kind of grew up overnight.
He just grew up, and it's like, I like him. I everything about this I like on paper is just, Rocky. Thank God this is meant to be the last. I'm so glad that we get to bounce back up. You know, after all this.
Nathan, it's all about execution. And speaking of execution, shall we get to some special segments? Special segment.
Ooh, so special. All right, Brenton, which 2 characters in this movie should have kissed?
There was a little romance set up in this film.
Wasn't
there? There was a little one on the side involving Rocky's son and his new cool girlfriend that was all like, hey man, and they like kind of met up and they're like, hey man, and they bashed up the bullies and they're like, oh man, we're so cool and now you're my girl. Oh yeah, let's smoke some cigarettes. But they never make out. They never like have a moment where they're like, hey Rocky, come over here and get some pudding. And he's like, okay.
Jesus,
and then they like have, and then they mac into each other's faces. They just kind of like stood next to each other awkwardly, and it was awkward as fuck. Like,
jeez, I would have loved that plot. Just like throwing some gay stuff in there. It's like, just to spice things up. I thought for a second the son might have been gay, but he's also got that awkward like girlfriend who's just like.
But that's what I'm saying. He should have kissed the girlfriend.
Yeah, like that's it. That's what should have been it. Like it would have been great. Could you imagine? Like, he comes home, he's like, "Hey, Dad, so I'm polygamous." Like, and Rocky's like, "What, son?" And he's like, "Yeah, this is my life now." And he's like, "We gotta sort something out." Like,
and who else should have kissed?
I reckon Tommy should have gone for a swipe at the mentor, like the bad one. Like when he got given like all that money, he should just like kiss him on the mouth and be like, "I'll take the deal." And the mentor's like, "Ooh, get off me!" Like, I don't want to offer that to you now. Like, even if like Adrian, like, actually, you know what? No, I wanted Paulie in his Santa suit. I wanted that version of Paulie to give a big old kiss to like the son of Rocky, just when like he's being disrespectful for the dad. I wanted Paulie to like stumble up to the son and be like, "Hey, respect your dad," and then give his son like a Fredo kiss. It'd be like, "You gotta love your family," and that would have like pushed the son over the line and be like, "You know what? Fuck all this," and just storm off.
You know what? I'm out. Paulie is Santa's too much. Laters, guys.
Oh. That's who should have kissed Brenton.
Nathan, what stills this movie?
Oh my goodness, what's still this movie?
Ooh, it's blinding.
The opening frame, which you and I were surprised at. Like, we didn't think this was we didn't think the movie would get us that early. But if you want to see this still, look in the links below. We've got it on our Instagram. We've got it on YouTube, and it's the opening shot of the movie where Rocky is having a shower in the most dingy of bathrooms, and the lights, and he's completely naked. Like, completely butt naked. And you're seeing him from the side, and oh boy, is it a statue of David.
Nathan, the physique of this man is just incredible. Like, this shot opened, and we were like, holy shit, like, look at that.
I mean, Brenton and I, we're not gay, but we can definitely appreciate the male body.
Holy crap. Like, but just look at that. Look at that.
Jesus.
You're like,
look at this still, listeners. Like, it's almost like a work of art. Like, and you know what? It promised good cinematography to come, and and then nothing came. I mean, Brenton did, but you know. Could you imagine if the film also ended with him, like, pulling the same pose, but his son's also next to him?
oh my, Nathan, on that note, let's look at this film's poster.
Yes. Brenton,
Yes.
let's look at this film's poster.
But is it art?
And what a poster it is.
This is terrible. Like, sorry.
This is such a shit poster.
This is a fucking terrible poster.
The font for Rocky 5 looks like something from Microsoft Word, like the word art.
No, my deal with this is, like, the background, you're like, sure, like Rocky with the American flag. I don't really get it given the themes of this film. But the thing that is kind of right, I guess, is like him in front of that, him in his like old outfit and him like doing a fist bump in the air, but it's just so badly photoshopped. It's such a bad pose and it's cheesy as all fuck. It looks like such a B movie.
And it pretty much is a B movie in the sense, like, it's like, what's he doing with that pose? He looks as though he's like about to throw a shot put. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, he does, doesn't he? And the slogan, I guess, is like, in Russia, he fought the greatest fight of his life. Now, ellipses, where does a champion go when he takes off the gloves? Rocky 5. And you just, it's not good. Nathan, what should this poster have been?
it should have been the sex robot on the trash can. Like, that's my initial thought. But I think no, you know what it should have been? It should have been Rocky's son with the earring, and it's Rocky Balboa awkwardly trying to tug the earring off.
Maybe it should, yeah, that's not bad, but maybe it should have been just Rocky's son's like drawings. Like, and then in front of it is like the same picture of Rocky as in this poster where he's like fist bumping the air, but like the background's just his son's drawing.
And the slogan says, it's like, I guess Rocky now has gone tits up.
I mean, like, yeah, it's a fair assessment of the film.
It should just be in the jacket. It should just been like, we're not in Russia, but we're keeping the jacket. Like,
oh man, Nathan, I don't know what to say, but I know what I do. Actually, I do know what to say. Nathan, let's do some title talk.
Ooh, it's the title.
Yes, because Rocky 5, I mean, obviously Rocky 5 was in Rocky... Was Rocky 5 in Rocky 5? I mean, there wasn't really a 5 moment in the movie. There was no high five. There should have been a high five, I tell you what. That would have helped the movie. But I don't know, do you like the way that these movies are numbered? Like, I'm starting to kind of wish they did have a subtitle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. We'll get to Rocky Balboa when we get there, but like, I don't know. It would have been... If this movie did have a subtitle, what would have you given it? Like, Rocky
and the Curse of the Shitty Earring.
What about Rocky? He's mentoring now. Or even like... Oh no, they should have done like a Son of Frankenstein thing where it's like Son of Rocky.
Maybe. Or just Rocky gloves off.
Ooh. That sounds interesting. I like that.
Hey, what you gonna do? I'm Rocky.
Hey,
5.
Rocky. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're Rocky 5. Get the 5 out of here. Hey.
And and you know the thing about Rocky 5 is that he had plenty of power. But did he pass it to the people?
Pass it here.
What?
The power to the people.
Alright, Rotten Tomatoes, Brenton. The critics and the audiences weren't kind because it's got 29% on the tomato meter with an audience score of 31. So, you know, we're
we're
getting it right.
It's still not as bad as Cats. Let's just say that. Nathan, Martin Scribbs from Laura Q Canadian gives it a rotten review, first of all. It says, an embarrassment to brain-damaged boxers and their wussy sons everywhere. Oh my gosh!
Jesus! We didn't bring this up! We forgot about it.
The shade thrown. Oh, and also let's talk quickly about his damaged brain.
Oh my goodness!
And the weird.
Jesus! Like, what is happening in this movie?
But also the technology of like the CAT scan of like showing his brain damage is like the funniest thing I've ever seen. Like I've never seen that technology in my life, and luckily never will because it was just ridiculous.
It's so stupid. And like the audacity to give Rocky this and like also to never bring it up again. It's like, you could have done a great storyline on that. Like, you could have done such a storyline about, like, illness after a sport. You know, being forced to retire because of an illness. That's a great story. And again, this movie does nothing with it. Like, it's like... And you didn't believe it for a second. Because also, he doesn't change. You actually don't really see the ramifications of him having it.
Oh, he has some moments where he's like, and he's got a big headache or something. And he's like, oh, no.
But what a waste.
That was a really bad Rocky impersonation. Oh, no.
We're both doing bad ones. But I tell you what, like, I really hope in Rocky Rocky Balboa or Creed 1 or 2. We see an aged Rocky and we do see the effects of it. I think this franchise can still salvage that storyline.
Hey, time will tell. Time will tell.
Like from Landon G, he gave it 2.5 stars, Brenton. He said, I appreciate it for trying to go back to the roots of the Rocky series, but the way they do it is just so sloppy.
Yeah, sloppy is a good word to describe it, actually. Sloppy.
Yeah. He just keeps on falling over on the streets. It's just sloppy eyes, I tell you what. Like, would have been great.
So the next review we have is like an anonymous review, but it's got the weirdest like profile picture I've ever seen.
It's like a jug with a smiley face. It's weird ass.
It's kind of weird with a red background.
Ugh.
Strange. Anyway, they gave it 5 stars though.
Jesus.
5 stars. And then said, they're all great. Well, clearly they're not, buddy.
Because there must be fans of this series who genuinely love every installment unabashedly. They're just so happy to see Rocky turn up. But like, I think I think it has the same issue with Star Wars, and the fact that it's just Star Wars shouldn't be enough to sell you on it. You know, you got to do something else.
That's it. Agreed.
God of War, weirdly, Kratos himself wrote on YouTube, "My ring is outside." Best line of the whole movie.
My rig is outside.
Jesus. It is pretty good though. I do love that moment where he's like, he does fight anywhere. But like in 2020, you just couldn't get away with it. Like it's just,
no.
You'd have so many people be like, sue or like assault and just, I would love to see Rocky fight Kratos though. That'd be a good movie. He'd get killed like instantly.
Yeah, Rocky's like, come on man, come on. Just punch me, you know? And Kratos is like, all right, punches him in the face once and Rocky's like dead.
Yeah. And he was like, no. Oh.
Hey guys, that was Rocky 5. That was our 100th episode of all time.
But Brenton, given it's our 100th episode, we're not done yet. We gotta turn our gaze once again back to the 90s and talk about the wonderful memories we have.
Let's do it.
Yeah, this is where every 10 episodes we like to look back and give an update on our scores, see if, we still feel that way about the movie and just give you guys an update on hindsight. What a beautiful thing it can be.
You're exactly right, Nathan. Let's get into it with episode number 90, which was Wuthering Heights, but I gave it a positive review and gave it a thumbs up, and you gave it a Nathan no and put your thumbs way down.
I really want to trademark now Nathan no.
Nathan no.
We could take that places.
We probably could. We'll make some shirts or something. Nathan, are you going to stick with your no?
Yes, and honestly, would you still recommend Wuthering Heights?
No, I think I will.
We've mocked this relentlessly since we've done this episode.
I think I will. You know what? Because at the time, there was obviously something about it that I thought was worth watching. I don't know if it's going to be everyone's cup of tea, but, it was my old grey, so what can I say?
It's no good. Just overacting to a bone with fucking Laurence Olivier of all people.
I want you to haunt me till the rest of my days.
Christ, this film haunts our review scores. Jesus.
Let's get into 91, which was Barton Fink, which we both gave a positive review. We gave our thumbs up. Yes, from both of us, and I'm going to stick with it.
So good. Yeah. It's one of those movies as well that I do think about regularly. Like just John Goodman coming down the hallway in the fire, like
John Goodman and his tie.
Oh, it's so good. Like watch Barton, like such a good Coen film. Jeez, I love that we did that movie.
Fun times. Which leads us on to a film that wasn't directed by the Coen brothers, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, which was episode 92, where I gave it a positive, I gave it a thumbs up, and Nathan gave it a Nathan no. What's wrong with you, mate? Like my thumb is still up on this one.
Nah, Brenton, come on. Like, yeah, everyone remembers it for the end, which I said at the time, by the way. But like, the more I think about it, it's just like it's got maybe 3 good scenes, or maybe I should recommend it. You know what? I'm doing that thing which I called out at the moment where I'm only remembering the fond parts. But like, you still... Oh, no. Actually, no. Fuck it. No. There's still those 3 annoying-ass kids in it that I still hate.
The kids.
A bad child performance will always keep me in the mud, and I tell you what, the 3 of them can keep me away from that movie.
Well, Nathan, we'll move on to episode 93, which was our top 7 2010 movie scenes.
Oh, we actually don't.
I'm sticking up with my thumbs up for that episode, because that was a fun time. What guys, you should totally check. You should totally check out 93 if I don't say so myself. If I do say so myself, I should say.
Let's move on to 94, Brenton.
Yep.
We did The Hunt for Red October, and we both said no.
We both gave it a Nathan no, and I'm going to stick with that, because there's not much I can really remember about this film, aside from the fact that Sean Connery was Russian, Alec Baldwin was hanging out for a lot of it on the airplane and whatnot, with the bitchy air hostess, It was just totally awful. So yeah, thumbs down for that.
I feel because there's a lot of hype behind that movie because it's sort of like that dad kind of movie that people watch, but honestly you can get better stuff out of that genre.
This is true. Yeah,
watch indie instead. But also don't watch An American in Paris, Brenton, for episode 95, because I said no and you said said
I'm sticking by that, man. I can't believe you said no.
Oh, come on, it's not a good musical, Brenton. Like, were you moved by it the same way you were moved by Rocky 5?
Yes.
Oh, what a father-son relationship in both movies.
No, I'm sticking with it, man. I think it's a great film. I think it's something that's definitely worth watching. You know what else is worth watching?
What,
Episode
Brenton?
96, which was on the waterfront, which we both
Yeah.
gave a big thumbs up to Marlon Brando because that was a good movie.
It is a good time, yeah. I still think it's a little bit derivative. It's one of those movies I haven't thought about much since we've watched it. Like, I don't think it's gonna stick with you. Like, have you thought much about it, dude?
Yeah, not necessarily, but when I do think about it, I'm very fond of it, and I'd like to watch it again. So I gotta.
You think about it like a spring fling, you know? It's just like, didn't hang around, but good memories.
Keep my thumbs up.
Yeah, I'll keep it up too. Yeah, watch One on the Waterfront. You could do worse. Including Octopussy, episode 97. You said no, and I said yes to this Bond film.
I can hardly remember anything about this film.
They go to India, Brenton.
Yes, and he's in the crocodile. Like that was fun. But that's about it.
It's a good time. He's on the train, Brenton. You know, he's jumping about in that train. He's in the gorilla suit.
It's too long. It's there's too much. It's just if this was an hour and a half maybe, but I just can't do it.
Oh,
No.
Brenton, you'll never come around. Well, I'm keeping my thumb up. I think out of all the old Bonds we've done so far, this is my favorite. Like, if you want an old Bond movie to start off with, don't watch Goldfinger or anything like that. Watch Octopussy. It's really funny.
Okay.
Okay. 98, Richie Rich. We said yes.
Oh,
I know. I'm thinking about this too. Like, why did we say yes to Richie Rich?
I feel like it was a fun, like, this is a movie that's, like, not necessarily great, but it's like,
No.
if you have a few mates around, like, you're gonna have a fun time and have a couple of drinks and watch Richie Rich and reminisce and be like, oh, that'd be cool to have and whatnot. Oh, that's a bit stupid or whatever, but at the same time, it's not a great movie.
No, it really isn't. Jeez. Like,
I'm gonna put my thumbs down.
I feel like I should too.
Yeah.
Like, I love it, and we loved it at the time, but the more I feel like we've now woken up from that drunken slumber, and we're like, what have we done? Like, we gotta put out some fires. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm changing. I'm gonna say no.
I think so too. There's just better shit to watch, and also there's better films that say I don't think it's healthy to watch. Frankly, like seeing this dream of like classism. Geez, like, ugh.
Nathan, that brings us on to 99, which was To Kill a Mockingbird, which we both had thumbs up for. And I'm going to stick by that. That's a great movie.
I mean, we've only been a week off from recording, and it still sticks with me, Brenton. Like,
Same here.
it's fresh, but it's still. Jesus is amazing. I'm lost for words, Brenton. What a movie.
What a movie. There's nothing else needs to be said, mate. It's fantastic. And those, Nathan,
Those were the
revised 90s. Wow.
Right, wow. We've lived through our 90s, Brenton. Not many people can say that.
Not many people can. Oh, I've just had a few hip replacements, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, Brenton, not in front of the listeners.
Oh. Nathan, that was it. That was it.
Rocky 5.
Guys, thank you so much for listening to us for 100 episodes.
Yeah, even if this is your first episode, thank you for taking the time to listen. Like,
That's a huge achievement, and
It really is.
Obviously, I'm proud of us and I'm proud of the show. But I'm so happy that you guys listen to us every week, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So it's so much appreciated.
we love you. We love you so much. We'd give you all wet kisses if we saw you in person.
Wet's an interesting word to use, but just know that that we send our love.
We do,
and hopefully we might be seeing you guys on our 200th episode.
Yeah,
who knows?
Who knows if we'll get there.
What I do know, if you want to
Brenton?
help the show out, what would really help us out is if you could go onto the podcast app, if you could go onto YouTube, if you go onto Spotify, all of our outlets. We're on basically
all the links are
everything.
below.
Subscribe to us, please. Send us a like, and even if you could send us a review as well, it really helps the show out. We'd much appreciate that.
That's a true gift, Brenton, and we love it. We love it so much when we hear it from you. We love it. We see the reviews; they're great. So yeah, it'd be wonderful if you could. And
on the back of that, please tell us what you thought of Rocky 5.
Yeah.
Tell us your thoughts on the film. Do you think it's as good as Rocky 4? Do you think the sex robot should have been in this film? Let us know. Like, we'd really appreciate it.
I love continuing the conversation on Instagram and Twitter and all that. Like, it's great. So yeah, especially those who think this is the best. Like, let us know what is like the key lining for this movie for you.
Hey, Nathan.
What?
Nathan, I just checked our bank account.
Oh, what
and
is
that
it?
$10, the $10 came through, Nathan.
Oh, finally! Oh, maybe I didn't sign all of our fortunes away. Now we can finally spend those $10 on what we need most in the podcast.
Haha. Another Band-Aid.
No, Brenton, look under your seat. Is that a pair of earrings?
Nathan, one for you and one for me.
Oh no!